I went on 3 dates last month. Three. And I spent $2,400. Not on anything extravagant. One dinner, one cocktail bar, one activity that cost more than I expected. Plus the outfit I told myself I already had. Plus the Uber there and back because I was not arriving in those shoes on public transit. $2,400 for 3 dates, none of which led anywhere particularly life changing. And when I sat with that number, I thought, nobody talks about this. Nobody puts dating as a line item in their budget. But the world has made first dates more expensive than they have ever been. And we need to talk about why. Let's start with something that doesn't get acknowledged enough. First dates are genuinely more expensive than they used to be. This is not a personal failing. This is a structural reality. And there are 5 specific reasons it's happening right now. The first is inflation. Restaurants, bars, activities. The cost of everything you do on a date has gone up significantly over the last 3 years. A dinner that costs $60 in 2020 now costs $85. A cocktail bar round that was $40 is now $60. The baseline cost of a normal first date has increased without anyone really noticing. The second is dating apps and the paradox of choice. Apps have fundamentally changed how we date, and not just logistically. When you have access to hundreds of potential matches, first dates become lower stakes and more frequent. You go on more of them, which means the cost multiplies in a way it never did when dating was slower and more deliberate. More dates at higher prices is a compounding problem. The third is social media expectations. Instagram and TikTok have created a visual standard for what a date looks like. Rooftop bars, aesthetic restaurants, content worthy experiences. And whether we admit it or not, those images shape what we think a good date requires and what we think it says about us if we suggest something simpler. The fourth is soft life culture. The aspiration toward luxury, ease, and elevated experiences has seeped into dating in a real way. Being taken somewhere nice or taking someone somewhere nice has become part of how we signal value, both to the other person and to ourselves. Suggesting a walk in the park doesn't feel like enough anymore, even though it often produces better conversation than an expensive restaurant where you're both slightly performing. The fifth is beauty and grooming costs, and this one falls disproportionately on women. A first date for a lot of women involves not just an outfit, but a full preparation: nails, hair, skincare, makeup. These costs are real, they add up, and they are almost never included when people talk about the cost of dating. A man's first date might cost him the price of dinner. A woman's first date might cost her $200 before she's even left the apartment. Meet Remi. Remi is 25, works in tech, has been actively dating for 2 years, and considers herself pretty financially aware. Tracks expenses, has a budget, knows where her money goes. Except she had absolutely no idea what she spent on dating because it never made it into the budget. It lived in a separate mental category: something emotional, something hopeful, something that felt wrong to analyze. Until one January, she added it all up: 12 months, app subscriptions, $1,800, dates, dinners, activities, drinks, $14,400, outfits and grooming specifically for dates, $3,600, transport, $2,100, spontaneous gifts, flowers, I'll get this one moments, $1,800, total, $23,700 in 1 year on dating. Remy wasn't in a relationship at the end of it. Now, this is not a judgment on dating. Dating is worthwhile. But $23,700 spent completely unconsciously, that's worth looking at. Here's what I want to talk about that nobody really addresses: the psychology behind why we spend so much trying to impress people we don't even know yet. There's a concept in behavioral economics called signaling. When we can't directly demonstrate our value to someone, our character, our intelligence, our kindness, we use proxies. Expensive restaurants signal success. Nice outfits signal taste. Generous gestures signal abundance. We're not consciously thinking any of this, but it's running in the background of every first date decision we make. The problem is we're doing this for strangers, people we've spoken to for 2 weeks on an app, people whose values we don't know, whose financial situation we don't know, whose character we haven't had enough time to assess. And we're spending real money to perform a version of ourselves for them, a version that may not even be accurate. Here's the irony: research consistently shows that what people actually find attractive on a first date is presence, curiosity, warmth, and humor. None of those things cost money. The expensive restaurant doesn't produce them. Sometimes it actively works against them because both people are slightly uncomfortable in a formal setting, performing rather than connecting. The most memorable first dates are almost never the most expensive ones. They're the ones where something real happened, where the conversation went somewhere unexpected, where you both laughed at something unplanned. None of that requires a $60 cocktail. Let's talk about the gender dynamics here because they're real and they're worth naming honestly. There is still a widespread cultural expectation, particularly in heterosexual dating, that men pay on first dates. And a lot of men do, which means men are often absorbing a disproportionate share of the visible date cost: the dinner, the drinks, the activity. But women are often absorbing a disproportionate share of the invisible costs: the outfit, the grooming, the preparation. These costs are real, but they're private. They don't show up at the bill, and they're also less acknowledged. Nobody thanks a woman for the 2 hours and $150 she spent getting ready, but everybody notices if a man doesn't reach for the bill. Neither of these dynamics is fair, and both of them are worth examining. Not to assign blame, but because if you're spending money on dating without being honest about why, you're going to keep spending it without ever making a conscious choice about it. The most financially healthy approach, regardless of gender, is to have a clear personal position on splitting before you go on the date. Not to fight about it at the table, not to let it become a silent source of resentment. Just, what do I actually think is fair here? And can I communicate that simply? If you expect a split, say so early. Most people in their 20s appreciate the clarity. If you want to pay, great, pay. But do it because you want to, not because you feel you have to. And if you can't afford the venue someone has chosen, that's a conversation worth having before you get there, not after. So, how do you actually navigate all of this? Here are 4 strategies that work. Strategy 1: build a dating budget and treat it like any other line item. Decide in advance what you're willing to spend on dating per month, not what you hope to spend. What you're actually comfortable with given your full financial picture. Write it down and treat it with the same respect you give your grocery budget. When it's gone. No exceptions, no guilt. Strategy 2: suggest the format of the first date. You don't have to wait for the other person to plan it. Suggesting a coffee, a walk, a market, or a free museum is not unromantic. It's confident. It sets a tone of authenticity rather than performance, and it immediately tells you something important about the other person. How do they respond when someone suggests something simple? The answer is useful data. Strategy 3: separate the outfit budget from the date budget. These are 2 different line items. A date does not require a new outfit. If you're using every first date as an excuse to shop, that habit is costing you thousands of dollars a year in the name of dating. And most of those outfits are sitting in your closet right now. Build a capsule of pieces you feel good in and stop refreshing it for every new match. Strategy 4: be honest about your budget sooner than feels comfortable. There's a confident version of this conversation that isn't apologetic. Not, I can't really afford much, but I prefer dates that don't cost a fortune early on. I'd rather spend money on experiences once we know each other. That's a value statement. And the right person will find it attractive, not off-putting. Anyone who doesn't has just saved you a lot of money. So what did Remi do? She canceled one of her 2 app subscriptions. kept the one that produced actual dates. She set an $800 monthly dating budget and treated it as a hard ceiling. She made a rule: no new outfit for a first date unless her wardrobe genuinely has nothing suitable. And in 12 months, that rule saved her over $2,000. And she started suggesting the first date: always coffee or a walk. Low cost, good conversation, real signal. If there was chemistry, date two could be nicer. The following year, her total dating spend dropped from $23,700 to $9,400. She went on just as many dates. She had just as much fun. She just stopped spending money unconsciously on people she hadn't met yet. Dating is expensive right now, genuinely. The apps, the inflation, the social media pressure, the beauty costs, the expectations, it all adds up in a way that most people are absorbing without ever consciously choosing to. You don't have to opt out of dating to fix this. You just have to make it a conscious choice. Budget for it. Be intentional about the format. Stop performing for strangers and find someone who values the real version of you, which, as it turns out, is also the most affordable version. Comment date below and tell me, what's the most you've ever spent on a first date? I want to know. No judgment, genuinely. Subscribe if you haven't. EP15 is next, and we're talking about your card, why it's too easy to swipe, and what to do about it. See you next week.